Let it be understood clearly, before we go any further, that what you and I see, hear, and feel through the senses has been given a rank in our lives it does not deserve. We have been trained from childhood to take the noise of events, the look of bodies, the ink on bills, and the headlines of nations as final verdicts. And it is not so. This is a false measuring rod. It is the very yardstick by which fear enters, stands in our doorway, and begins to speak as if it were government. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. That is not merely a pious phrase. It is instruction on how to live. The appearance is not authority. God alone is authority. Grace alone is authority. I speak to you not as a theorist, but as one who has watched storms rise on the horizon and seen them subside without lifting a hand, because I ceased giving the cloud its power. Do you not see that the moment you accept an appearance as authority, you have already surrendered peace? You may still fight for hours or days, but the capitulation took place at the first nod you gave to the visible as power. Fear does not invent itself. Fear borrows the uniform of the senses, and then we salute it. And then we wonder why the heart trembles. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Not by sight. Faith is not gullibility. Faith is spiritual discernment. The recognition that what is real is not in the picture, and what is in the picture is not real as power. You can test this in the smallest matters before life demands it in the great. I have stood with exactly enough in my pocket to buy one meal, and with voices of authority saying, "No way forward," and yet the way opened, not because I found a stronger human lever, but because I withdrew allegiance from the report. When the doctor's face was grim, when the market was down, when a friend's words cut, the demonstration was not won by might nor by power, but by the spirit of recognition that there are not two powers. God is not a power to be used by man against another power. God is. Grace is. When you stand there, without reaching for a weapon, without looking for a second God to help you conquer the first, the lie of authority in the appearance begins to starve. Resist not evil, not because you should be passive, but because there is nothing there to resist as power. Do you not know that your fear today is not of a thing, but of your own consent to the thing as power? That is all. Withdraw the consent, and you have dethroned your tyrant. Replace the false measuring rod. Stop counting life by what looks better or worse, richer or poorer, stronger or weaker, as if the sum of forms were the sum of being. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. The kingdom is not delivered through the senses. The kingdom is realized in the quiet recognition that grace alone governs. Here, now, in the midst of whatever picture is parading itself. Relax. Rest in the assurance that you are not being asked to argue with appearances, nor to wave a wand over them, nor to convince others of your point. You are being invited to live from a different center. The outer picture may be noisy for a time. Let it. Do not enthrone it. Be still and know that I am God. Stillness is not inactivity. It is the withdrawal of the one thing appearances must have to survive your belief in their authority. And so, as we proceed, understand the promise and the mechanism. Fear begins to dissolve the instant you stop granting the visible the dignity of power. In this hour, we will not merely agree with that in our heads. We will make our demonstration. At the close of our time, we will enter a shared 3-minute stillness and refuse to let any appearance sit in the seat of government. We will not try to silence the world. We will simply cease to crown it. My grace is sufficient for thee. Sufficient for thee. Take that as your quiet law. Between now and that stillness, let this truth travel with your breath. Appearances are not authority, and therefore fear has no throne to sit on in you. Let it be understood clearly. The most common idolatry among us is not a statue of wood or stone. It is the little ruler we lay against our lives a dozen times a day and call it reality. We look at a bank balance and say, I am safe, or I am threatened. We notice a twinge in the body and declare, it is well, or it is not well. We glance at a headline, a text that is delayed, the tone in a room, and we measure the day by that yardstick. And then, quite innocently, we kneel before that report as if it were the voice of God. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Why was that given? Because the habit of judging by the sight, by the number, by the mood, is the very mechanism by which fear enthrones itself. Do you not see that the moment you allow a fluctuating figure, an email subject line, or a frown to declare your condition, you have invited fear to become your constant evaluator? It will sit at the edge of your bed in the morning and rate the light, good day or bad day. It will hover at your lunch hour and grade your digestion. It will read your bank app and stamp approval or disapproval, and you will feel as it pronounces, ye cannot serve God and mammon. If a number, a report, or a mood can remove your peace, have you not made it your God? If the world's thermometer goes up or down, and your heart does likewise, who is governing whom? My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not as the world, meaning not in response to what appears, not dependent upon the scorecard of forms. In the material sense of life, there are always two powers, so the game never ends. Good appearance to be cherished, bad appearance to be fought. Pills against pain, politics against politics, noise against noise. And now what next? Another round. In the spiritual consciousness of life, there are not two powers. There is just spiritual grace. God is not a power to be used by man against another power. God is, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. When you rest there, you are no longer impressed into the service of appearances, good or bad. A lovely picture is not your savior, and an ugly picture is not your jailer. You are released from the duel. Someone will say, are we then denying what the senses report? No, we are denying the authority of the report to dictate fear or peace. We are not asked to shut our eyes. We are asked to withhold our worship. The letter may arrive. Read it if you must. The body may send a signal. Attend to it as wisdom leads. The tone in the room may be tight. You need not pretend it is music, but do not crown any of these as government. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. Above does not mean elsewhere. It means within. It is the higher center from which action proceeds without fear. From that center you will do what needs doing, but not as one being commanded by the creature of conditions. Who is he that condemneth? It is Christ that died, yea, rather, that is risen again, which is to say, the inner authority is not the verdict of the senses, but the life of God that does not consult appearances. So it is, the practice is simple and relentless. Notice when you have counted the day by what looked favorable or unfavorable. Catch yourself in the act of consulting the false measure. Withdraw the consent that makes a ripple into a ruler. Return, even if softly, to be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, you will find that peace no longer rises and falls with the market, with the mirror, with the microphone of the news. Peace rests in grace and therefore cannot be taxed by appearances. Then fear, finding no tribunal from which to issue its sentences, will have nothing left to say. Perfect love casteth out fear, and love, in this sense, is your steadfast refusal to worship the report and your steadfast resting in grace as the only authority. Now let us take the next clear step. Do you not see that fear is never free-floating? It does not hover as a mist. It always points to a form. It says, look there, and it names the creature. Paul uses that word, the creature, the formed thing, and warns that men worshipped and served the creature more than the creator, Romans 1:25. The creature is any form presented to your senses or your memory. Money, body, reputation, politics, time, weather, a contract, a calendar, a lab result, a voice on the telephone, even a thought passing through your own mind. The creature is not evil, it is merely form. But hear this as a doctrinal strike. The creature is not power, it is an appearance. It is an object in consciousness. It has no authority to bless or to curse. We look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal. 2 Corinthians 4:18. God alone is the all-power. Grace alone is government. Why then does fear always choose something with edges, with numbers, with sound? Because fear cannot live without a symbol. It must have a token to wave. And so it summons its procession. Numbers on a screen, a sensation under the rib, a memory from last winter, a forecast in bold letters, a deadline on the calendar, a tone in the email, a glare in the mirror, a bill stamped in red, a siren on the street, a headline from abroad, a rumor at the office, a diagnosis, a market ticker, a weather map, a timer counting down, a legal notice, a credit score, a comment on a post. All of these are creatures' forms. Fear holds them up and says, bow. And the moment we bow, the moment we grant the symbol our consent to judge, fear finds power. Not power in itself, but borrowed power from our worship. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Exodus 20-3. When a number or a twinge can dethrone your peace, have you not set another God before the one? Let it be clear to you. Fear is not evidence of danger. Fear is evidence of the consent you and I have given to an appearance as authority. That is all. Withdraw that consent, and fear falls to the ground because it has lost its altar. The creature remains an object to be handled, perhaps even an errand to be run, but it is no longer a judge handing down sentences. Who is he that condemneth? It is Christ that died, yea, rather, that is risen again. Romans 8:34. The condemnation you felt was not from God, it was from a form you had enthroned. Remove the throne. Let the form be what it is, sign, not source, vessel, not well, servant, not master. Now, someone will say, but the body pains, the ledger dwindles, the news shouts. Yes, but remember, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Isaiah 54-17. Notice the language formed, creaturely weapons, formed weapons, sights, sounds. Letters will not prosper against the one who refuses them, the crown. Be not afraid of sudden fear, Proverbs 3:25. Sudden, because a picture can flash and the heart can leap, but the leap is not law. Pause. Breathe. Ask within, has this form any authority in God? And the answer will be silence, and in that silence, release. Relax. Rest in the assurance that you are not asked to despise the creature, nor to crush it, nor to run from it. You are asked to stop worshiping it. Let the coin circle through your hand. It is not your life. Let the body send its messages. It is not your law. Let time mark its hours. It is not your eternity. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. Want is not settled by creatures, but by the Creator's ceaseless self-giving, which we call grace. So we come to the practice of discernment with gentleness and with firmness. Each time fear grasps a form and cries, "This rules you," answer softly, "Creature, you are not power. Do it again and again until the heart knows what the head has heard." When authority is returned to grace, the creature becomes companionable, useful, perhaps lovely, but never a tyrant. And fear, finding nothing visible to ride and no throne to sit upon, must go its way. Fear not, for I am with thee. Isaiah 41:10. God is with thee, not as a second power in a contest with the creature, but as the only presence before which all forms stand as they are pictures and nothing more. Now we must make the pivot plain, because it is here that many of us keep our wars alive while speaking the language of peace. In the material sense of life, existence is pictured as forces in collision, one power to conquer another power, a better pill against the worst symptom, a stronger argument against the louder headline. And now what next? Another round tomorrow. But in the spiritual consciousness of life, there are not two powers. Hear that, and let it be a door closing behind you. There are not two powers. There is just spiritual grace. God is not a power to be used by man. God is. Grace is, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Zechariah 4:6. Do you not see what happens the moment you accept two? Instantly you need a defender, a weapon, a plan, a clock, and an enemy to justify them all. Instantly the heart lives on alarms. But if there is only one, and that one is grace, where is the fight? Against what? With whom? The picture that frightened you 5 minutes ago, what power did it have except the rank you granted it? Resist not evil, Matthew 5:39. That is not passivity. It is the refusal to graduate an appearance into the status of an opposing power. We do not recruit spirit to outshout a symptom, or outspend a bill, or outvote a headline. We awaken to the simple, liberating fact that there is no second power for spirit to conquer, and therefore nothing for us to fear. This is where demonstration begins to be felt in the body. When you stop arranging your life as a battlefield, your nervous system receives the memo that war is over. Shoulders drop. The jaw unclenches. The breath lengthens. The mind, which had been scanning for the next skirmish, finds no enemy profile to maintain, and so it grows quiet. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid, John 14:27. You cannot obey that while imagining two powers. Trouble thrives on dualism. Peace lives on oneness. The moment you rest in oneness, the chemistry of fear has no work order to fulfill. Someone will ask, then do we do nothing about the appearance? Listen carefully. You will do whatever love and wisdom lead you to do, but you will not do it as combat. You will answer the letter, but not as a duel. You will consult a physician, but not as a soldier suiting up. You will balance a ledger, but not as a hostage. You will vote, serve, repair, apologize, reconcile, but under no circumstance will you accept the premise that another power stands over against God to be defeated. We overcome the world precisely by overcoming the belief that there is a world apart from God to overcome. My grace is sufficient for thee, 2 Corinthians 12-9. Sufficient meaning nothing else is needed to supplement it, and nothing can rival it. I tell you from experience, every hour I have tried to harness God as a weapon against the problem borrowed stature from my very attempt, and every hour I have withdrawn from the contest, rested in grace, and allowed action to arise without enmity, harmony unfolded with a gentleness I could not have engineered. Resist not evil becomes luminous here. Resistance assumes reality and power in the thing resisted. Refusal to resist is not yielding to error. It is yielding to God. It is yielding to the fact that there is only one, and that one is love. So, relax. Rest in the assurance that you do not need a second God to fix a first God. There is no first God in the appearance at all. There is only grace, the quiet government of being, present and sufficient. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46-10. As you know this, not as a sentence in the head, but as the atmosphere of your heart, fear has nowhere to lodge. The battle ends for lack of combatants. Peace is not awarded after victory. Peace is what remains when the belief in two powers dissolves. And then, naturally, beautifully, life proceeds without a sword, without a shield, without a scoreboard, guided by the one who is already here. Now, let us be honest with ourselves. You can repeat after me. There are not two powers. Grace alone is authority, and you can still feel your hands grow cold when a certain envelope arrives. Do you not see? The head can echo a sentence the heart has not yet realized. Reassurance is not peace. Reassurance is a thought offered to a frightened mind. Peace is the absence of fright because authority has shifted. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, John 14:27. Not as the world that is, not as an argument that rises and falls with pictures. If peace must be argued for, do you not see it is still conditional on appearances? It lives by debate. It is awarded when the facts look favorable, and it vanishes when the facts turn. That is not peace. That is a truce with the senses. True peace does not consult the picture. True peace is the atmosphere of oneness realized. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, John 8:32. Not recite the truth, not admire the truth, know it. And flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven, Matthew 16:17. The Father within reveals. The intellect affirms, but it does not reveal. How then does the head's agreement become the heart's knowing? By living with the truth until it lives in you time again and time again and time again. Not to convince God. God is not waiting to be persuaded. We are the ones who have to be softened from our worship of appearances. We turn many times a day in the ordinary acts, washing a dish, standing at a door, listening to the radio, and quietly release the creature from authority. We deny it the crown, not once, but as often as it tries to reclaim the throne. We rest back into be still and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10, until the stillness itself begins to know us, to find us quickly, to hold us before we can run. I speak to you out of my own failures and corrections. There were hours when I could quote scripture with perfect cadence and yet feel the heart hammering as if a verdict had been passed against me. I tried to reassure myself like a lawyer summing up a case, and the very argument kept the courtroom open. Only when I stopped pleading, when I yielded the bench back to God and let the case be dismissed for lack of jurisdiction, did the body settle, the breath lengthen, and the next rightful action appear of itself. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. Philippians 4-7. It passes understanding because it does not come by it. Practice, then, is not performance. It is not straining to produce a holy feeling. It is gentle, steady yielding. We are not adding truths like bricks onto a wall. We are allowing the wall of one false assumption appearance as authority to crumble. And when it crumbles in a small matter, you mark it, you bless it, and you let that seed inform the next matter. If today you meet a headline and do not bow, tomorrow when the lab report speaks, you will already know where the government rests. In a little while, we will enter a simple 3-minute stillness together. It is not an exam. No one passes and no one fails. There is nothing to demonstrate to your neighbor and nothing to prove to your God. It is only this. We withdraw the one consent that made fear possible, our consent to the appearance as power. We sit, we breathe, and we let the sentence, my grace is sufficient for thee, 2 Corinthians 12-9, fall from the head into the heart without our managing it. Between now and then, let your preparation be very light. Choose one fear that has been knocking at your door. Do not wrestle it. Do not soothe it. Do not bargain with it. Simply ask, has this any authority in God? And let the answer be the silence that answers all questions. In that silence, the transferal is made from reassurance to realization, from argument to awareness, from two powers to one grace. When that occurs, even faintly, you will discover that peace does not arrive. It is uncovered as a river long buried beneath the debris of our debates. And once uncovered, it needs no defense. It needs only your consent to remain what it is. Now we make the demonstration where it counts in the ordinary pressures, where fear proposes itself as government. Look at the inventory that comes to most of us within a week. The unpaid bill, dates, and numbers printed in bold as if to shout. The diagnosis, the word that tries to attach itself like a label to a life. The aching joint sudden and insistent. The lonely evening when the house is too quiet and the mind rehearses old scenes. The harsh word from someone we love, landing like a stone. The uncertain nation, the broadcast, the headline, the opinion swelling like a tide. Each of these is an appearance, and each of these will demand fear, as if fear were its rightful tribute. Do you not see how quickly the heart begins to calculate? If this is true, then I am diminished. If that happens, then I am undone. And there is the false measuring rod, already at work. Here is our pivot, as plain as we can make it. The moment an appearance presents itself, we answer inwardly. This appearance is not authority. We are not denying that something has appeared. We are denying its rank as law. We are reclassifying it from judge to witness, from ruler to information. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. John 7:24. Righteous judgment is simply this. God is authority. Grace is government. The picture may report, but it does not rule. It can inform an action. It cannot ordain fear. For the kingdom of God is not meat and drink, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Ghost. Romans 14:17. Not meat and drink, not the outer measures. Let us make it practical in a sequence you can carry with you. Notice the appearance. Feel the impulse to measure life by it. Pause. Withdraw consent from it as power. Return to grace. Again, notice, feel, pause, withdraw, return. And again, until it becomes the very reflex of your spirit. Do not hurry the pause. In the pause, the imagined authority drains away, and the presence announces itself without words. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Not be still and fix the picture. Be still and know. Now, money. The envelope arrives. The number is larger than the balance. You will feel the tug to measure your life by that figure. Pause. This appearance is not authority. Breathe. Let the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. Rise from sentence to sustenance. Then, from grace and not from panic, do what love and wisdom lead. Make the call, set the plan, release an expense, open a channel. You will be surprised how often provision meets you when you stop appointing the bill as your sovereign. My God shall supply all your need according to his riches and glory. Philippians 4:19. According to his riches, not according to the invoice. Body, a scan returns, or a joint throbs in the night. Notice the report. Feel the surge. Pause. This appearance is not authority. Be not afraid of sudden fear. Proverbs 3:25. Treat the report as information, not law. Consult help, if so led, but do not suit up for war. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Formed creaturely, let I am the Lord that healeth thee. Exodus 15:26. Be the atmosphere within which any remedy is received, any rest is taken, any next step appears. You will find that the body cooperates more readily under grace than under judgment. Relationships. The harsh word lands, or an evening opens up like a canyon. Notice the sting. Feel the reflex to measure your worth by another's mood. Pause. This appearance is not authority. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Proverbs 15:1. You cannot give a soft answer while enthroning the insult. Withdraw the crown from the scene. Let love your enemies, Matthew 5:44, which includes the enemy image in your own mind. Quiet the courtroom within. From grace, you will know whether to speak, to listen, to apologize, or to be silent. And the lonely evening, let it be an altar, not a verdict. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. Hebrews 13:5. Sometimes the presence meets us best when the house is quiet. World news. The nation trembles. Commentators prophesy doom. The map flashes red. Notice. Feel the global pull to fear. Pause. This appearance is not authority. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Psalm 24:1. Do what you are led to do as a citizen. Vote, serve, speak truth, but do not install the broadcast as your barometer. Let not your heart be troubled, John 14:1. Hearts are troubled by imagined second powers. Withdraw consent from the spectacle as law and return to the inner government. You will help the world more by carrying peace into it than by adding your alarm to its chorus. Any appearance can be met with the same liberation. Remove its authority and fear weakens. That is the practice we will carry into our shared stillness. Choose now one fear, money, body, relationship, or world, one face that has been asking you to bow. Do not wrestle it. Do not soothe it. Simply hold it loosely with this. This appearance is not authority. Keep it with you like a pebble in the palm as we proceed. By the time we sit together, you will find you have less to bring, for much will already have dissolved in the light of grace. Now comes the great release. Relax. Rest in the assurance, not as sentiment, not as a pretty phrase to hang on the wall, but as posture, as government, as the way you sit inside yourself. Do you not see that the strain you have felt has rarely come from what appeared, but from the tribute you paid to it? You refreshed the account again and again, as if by enough bowing you could change the number. You rehearsed the conversation 5 ways, as if through sacrifice of sleep you might purchase a kinder tomorrow. You forecasted what could go wrong, defended what had not even been questioned, and called it prudence. These are offerings at an altar you did not mean to build. And the altar was to an appearance. Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful. Luke 10:40, 1:4-2. The one is grace. Let it be understood clearly. Attention is allegiance. Whatever you grant repeated anxious attention, you install as authority. I say to you with love, withdraw the tribute. You do not owe an appearance your vigilance. You do not owe a rumor your rehearsal. You do not owe a symptom your nightly obeisance. Take no thought for your life, Matthew 6:25, does not mean be irresponsible. It means stop tithing your hours to the evidence. Consider the lilies. They toil not, neither do they spin. Matthew 6:28. They do not pay tribute to the wind for the right to bloom. They rest in the law of their life. Relax. Rest in the assurance that you are not being asked to force calm upon yourself. You are not to clamp down on the breath and call it peace. You are not a prison guard over your own mind. You are only to remove the badge you gave to the appearance and let calm take its natural seat. When the judge leaves the bench, the courtroom quiets of itself. When you stop funding the noise with your allegiance, the noise has no budget for anxiety. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Rest is given when the labor of paying tribute ends. I have learned this in the plainest hours. A night of refreshing the page did not open supply, it opened fatigue. A day of arguing with a thought did not end the thought, it added echo. But a single moment of honest consent, this appearance is not authority. And then no effort to fix, no campaign to persuade, and the next right thing appeared with such tenderness that I knew it had come by grace. My grace is sufficient for thee. 2 Corinthians 12-9. Sufficient meaning, enough without my additions. So here is your micro practice. 1 breath in, 1 breath out. On the in-breath, gently acknowledge this appearance is not authority. On the out-breath, do nothing. Do not try to fix a picture. Do not run a list. Sit, even for 10 seconds, without tribute. Then resume your day. Repeat as life taps you on the shoulder. 1 breath in, 1 breath out. Withdraw the consent and let calm be what it is when not taxed by your vigilance. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46-10. not be still and manage. Be still and know. Some of you will say, but if I stop watching, won't it get worse? Do you not see? That question is the very proof of the belief in a second power waiting to pounce the moment you rest. There are not two powers. There is just spiritual grace. The watchfulness of fear has never prevented the storm. It has only kept you from hearing, peace, be still, Mark 4:39 within. When authority returns to grace, action, if needed, will rise of itself. Unhurried, unemphatic, exact. You will make a call, not out of alarm, but out of love. You will take a pill or decline it, see a friend or let the evening be quiet, not as tribute to a picture, but as movement in God. Therefore, relax. Rest in the assurance that you owe nothing to the evidence, not your breath, not your pulse, not your prayers spent in argument. Pay no more tribute. Let appearances come and go as clouds across a sky that does not move. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26:3. Stayed held, not by gripping, but by released attention. By a gaze turned inward to the one, and then, naturally, sweetly, life begins to feel companionable again. The heart is no longer a tax office for fear. It is a sanctuary, lighted by grace. Now let us bring this home where many of us lose our peace in the presence of other people's appearances. Let it be understood clearly. It is a hopeless task to make another see by argument what only the Father within can reveal. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. Matthew 16:17. If revelation is of God, how shall we coerce it with our insistence, our lectures, our proofs? A spiritual demonstration is only visible to those of spiritual apprehension. To others, it is a coincidence, a lucky day, or a new superstition to resist. Do you not see that by trying to convince, we confess our unbelief in grace? We try to do for them what we have not yet trusted grace to do in us and through us? Here is the boundary of love. You may offer kindness, prayerful recognition, perhaps a word, perhaps a resource, a pamphlet, a book, a sentence that comes as a feather, not a hammer, but do not invade another's freedom with spiritual force. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. 2 Corinthians 3:17. Spirit never kidnaps a mind. Spirit never shouts down another soul. Spirit waits at the door and knocks. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Revelation 3:20. If even God does not break the latch, why should we? Offer and release. Love and let be. Pray and then trust grace to find its own inlet, its own timing, its own tone. Socratic check. If you need them to change so you can have peace, have you not again made an appearance your authority? If your quiet depends on your spouse adopting your practice, on your child abandoning their fear, on your colleague ceasing their complaint, then your peace is still leased from the creature. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Matthew 7:1. Judgment binds you to the picture you judge. Release it, and you release yourself. Your peace must not be dependent on fixing other people's appearances. If it is, you will become a missionary of anxiety, traveling house to house with the gospel of control. Someone will say, but what if they are harming themselves? What if they are in danger? Listen carefully. You will do what love and wisdom lead. Call the doctor. Drive them to safety. Set a boundary. Speak affirm. No, but you will not do it as combat. And you will not try to change a soul by spiritual pressure. Action taken in fear multiplies fear. Action taken in love carries a different atmosphere. Let your light so shine before men. Matthew 5:16. Let not make. Light is persuasive without argument. Peace is contagious without persuasion. When you are settled in grace, you become a climate. People breathe easier around you. And sometimes, without a single instruction, they find themselves laying down their weapons because yours are not drawn. I speak to you out of my own attempts to prove truth to those I loved and the sorrow that followed. I watched as my urgency made them stiffen. I saw my pressure turn the living water into a case to be tried. I stopped. I offered what was mine to offer, a presence, a prayerful recognition, a gentle word, and then I stepped back into liberty. And then, without fanfare, changes came sometimes in them, always in me. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Zechariah 4:6. Spirit does not bully. Spirit reveals. So, relax. Rest in the assurance that you may let others have their appearances while you abide in grace. Grant them complete freedom, as you would wish for yourself. Do not make a project of their soul. Keep the altar clean of their picture. Hold them in the light silently. And when moved, offer a kindness or a resource and go no further. In this way, your relationships cease to be battlegrounds and become sanctuaries where God is free to be God. And you will discover that love never needed your management. It needed only your non-interference and your trust. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. John 14:27. Give that peace, not as the world gives, by reforming surfaces, but as grace gives, by being what it is, unopposed, unhurried, unafraid. Now we prepare. Let it be understood clearly. We are about to enter a simple stillness, not to fix anything, not to prove anything, but to withdraw one mistaken consent. Choose one appearance that has been commanding you only one. Not the whole history, not the largest mountain, just the one that keeps returning to tap on the window of your heart. Perhaps it is a number on a page. Perhaps it is a report with a name that stings. Perhaps it is a face you love wearing a frown, or a map colored as if to frighten the world. Choose it gently. Hold it lightly. We will not do battle with it. We will remove its badge. Do you not see how fear survives? It survives by our agreement that an appearance may write statutes over life. At this moment, our inner act is very quiet. We revoke that license. We do not argue with a picture, for argument would enthrone it again. We do not chant at it, bargain with it, or try to domesticate it with affirmations. We merely let it be what it is, a picture, and we return government to where it has always lived. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Be still and know. Know that grace, not the picture, is authority. Now for the room. Make yourself comfortable without ceremony. Let your feet find the floor or be at ease where they are. Soften the shoulders. If a belt pinches, loosen it. If your hands need a place, rest them lightly. Eyes may close softly or remain at half-mast without strain. There will be no trance here, no self-hypnosis, no drifting away. We remain alert, present, simple. If there is a cough, do not repress it. Let it pass without drama. If a swallow comes, swallow. If a chair creaks, let it creak. We are not creating a perfect stage. We are consenting to a perfect authority. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Quietness, not rigidity. Confidence, not tension. Hold your one chosen fear at arm's length inside consciousness, as if you placed a photograph on a table in front of you. See how easily the mind wants to measure itself by the image? Gently say within, this appearance is not authority. And then, as if laying down a small tool you will not be needing, let my grace is sufficient for thee, 2 Corinthians 12-9, be the only sentence allowed to continue. Not to persuade God. God is not a power to be used by man. God is. Grace is. We are only ceasing to use the false measuring rod. We are consenting to oneness, and therefore depriving fear of its job. The aim is clear, and let it be clear to you. Not trance, not analysis, simple, alert stillness where grace is acknowledged as the only authority. If a thought argues, do not debate. If an emotion pleads, do not soothe. If a memory performs, do not applaud. Do you not see that any of these would keep the court in session? We are dismissing the case for lack of jurisdiction. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Exodus 14:13. Stand still, not as stone, but as one who will not run another errand for fear. I speak to you as one who has sat in the night and learned that the more fervently I tried to quiet the sea, the more I believed in the sea as law. Only when I turned from the wind and knew the governor, the words became true in me. Peace, be still. Mark 4:39. So now, together, we will not fix the waves. We will recognize the master. One fear, one consent, withdrawn. That is all. When we enter the 3 minutes, let breathing be natural. If an action is required afterward, it will appear without strain, clothed in love and exactness. For now, our single work is to dethrone the picture and acknowledge grace. Prepare them. Choose the one. Place it on the table of consciousness. Withdraw its crown with this quiet recognition. This appearance is not authority. My grace is sufficient, and we will sit not long, but long enough for jurisdiction to return to God where it belongs. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. John 7:24. Righteous judgment has no struggle in it. It has only this knowing. There are not two powers. There is just spiritual grace. Now, together, relax, rest, settle back not into sleep, but into trust. Let the shoulders soften. Let the jaw unhook its grasp. Let the breath come and go without coaching. Allow the mind to lay down its ruler and scale. Let it stop measuring. Let the heart listen. Very quietly, we take our seat in God. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Be still and know. Gently, without effort, bring to the edge of awareness the one picture you have placed on the table. Only touch it lightly. Do not fix. Do not pray about it. Do not dress it in words. See it. And now say within, this appearance is not authority. And then let even that sentence begin to dissolve into a simpler recognition. There are not two powers. There is only grace. Let those words thin, soften, fade, until they are no longer words but atmosphere, present, quiet, sufficient. If a sensation rises, an itch, a pulse, a flutter, notice it and do not consult it as law. If a thought strays in, what of tomorrow? Let it pass without saluting. If a memory waves its arms to be seen, nod without rising from your place. These are visitors. They have no bench, no gavel. Do you not see? We are in the presence that needs no second, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Zechariah 4-6. Spirit, not struggle. Now rest deeper. Let the breath find you. Let the mind stop keeping time. Yield the last subtle tendency to check on progress. Yield even the wish to feel something special. Rest in God as is. Rest in grace as government. If within you there is a whisper, peace, be still. Mark 4:39. Receive it as one receives sunlight through a window. Nothing to do, nowhere to get, no second power to appease. Only grace being itself. For these few minutes, do not bargain with life. Do not pay tribute. Sit as one already kept, already supplied, already loved. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26-3. Staying now is simply not wandering off with appearances. If you drift, return gently, no correction, no scolding. Return to the quiet knowing. There are not two powers. There is only grace. Let the silence thicken kindly, like warm air in a garden at evening. Let the heart unclasp. Let the presence be its own evidence. My grace is sufficient, sufficient without your help, sufficient without your fear, sufficient without your measuring. And now, without breaking anything, allow awareness to widen again. Feel the weight of the body in the chair, the contact of the feet, the room holding us. Do not rush. Carry the quiet with you as you would carry a sleeping child, carefully, lightly, with affection. Into this widening here, not as a quotation only, but as an inward bestowal. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. John 14:27. Allow it. Do not argue that you are unworthy or unready. Simply allow. My peace I give unto you. As you open your eyes or lift your gaze, notice what has changed. Perhaps the breath is longer. Perhaps the shoulders have fallen a fraction. Perhaps the jaw is softer, the forehead cooler, the chest quieter. Perhaps a thought that shouted now speaks at a human volume. If you will, speak it softly to the room or make a note for yourself. What shifted in your body? What unknotted in your mind? This is not to grade the silence. It is to recognize the effect of withdrawing authority from an appearance and letting grace be grace. Carry this with you into the ordinary, and when the next picture arrives, remember the simplicity we practiced. Notice, pause, withdraw, return. In this way, fear, having lost its jurisdiction, fades for lack of employment, and peace, not as the world gives, does what peace is.